Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim, Yakwath, Brakat the Yahweh, Brakat the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakat Tum. So, I do apologize in advance. I wanted to get on much more soon, but got a virus. And how I got this virus, very interesting. Alright, you've heard of CC Cleaner. Okay, so it'll give you updates every now and then, say, okay, well, this is out of date, right? So you update the driver to that. Well, without, by hitting the buttons pretty quick, I accidentally got Chromium. Now, Chromium is a terrible fucking virus. It looks like Google Chrome, and it installs itself on there. Now you got fucking shitloads of malware. So if any pop-ups happen between this, it really affects YouTube a lot. And so, fuck CC Cleaner for anybody who's used it. Go back to Spybot Search and Destroy. That one doesn't seem to fuck up your computer or make you download things you don't really want. Anyhow, on the top of the news here, terrorists prevent civilians from leaving to safe areas via humanitarian corridors in Idlib and Aleppo countryside. And also have video of the current fighting that's going on there, because as you know, Gomer and all of his bands have been moving into Libya, via Italy, through those ports. For the 10th day in a row, terrorist organizations continue to prevent civilians from leaving to safe areas through humanitarian corridors in Abu al-Dunhar and al-Habat in Idlib countryside and al-Hadar in Aleppo countryside. Syrian Arab news agencies reporters in Hama and Aleppo said that Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists continue to cut off the roads to prevent civilians from going to safe areas through humanitarian corridors in Abu al-Dunhar, al-Habat, and al-Hadar in the countryside of Idlib and Aleppo. The competent authorities in cooperation with army units are providing all logistical requirements for receiving civilians at the corridors, providing necessary medical assistance and buses to transport them to safe areas. And isn't this quite the opposite of what they were saying against Assad, that he was preventing humanitarian efforts? Who's preventing them? The terrorists that the United States supports. And of course, like everything else, though, I'll only be able to show a little bit of this, but this gives you an idea on what's happening here. The so-called Syrian Democratic Forces and what they're really about, the terrorists. And they're really just targeting the Syrian Arab Army. That's what Syrian Democratic Forces do. And that's what Gomer and all his bands have been doing. So they've been losing against the Syrian Arab Army. So they're now coordinating their efforts of going to Libya to arrive there to support their terror groups, aka the Libyan National Army, which is really a terrorist organization set up by Gomer and all his bands. I'm only able to show so much video footage here. But pretty much, man, this is some of the fighting that's been going on there. Allahu Akbar. And here's more.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
And by the way, the only ones that really use the terms Allah Akbar are really Edomites pretending to be Ishmaelites, for the record. Gomer and all his bands, Saudi Arabia, their proxies, are Edomites playing this thing out. See? Turkey and the U.S. and Co. cut their funding. Now, one thing, Charlie, is that none of these groups were invited into Syria. Syria never asked for the Syrian Democratic Forces or the YPG or any of that. In fact, recently, the Kurds have defected over to the Syrian Arab Army because the Syrian Arab Army are there to protect the Kurds. But they fall into this trap every time by Esau, because Esau says, oh, well, we'll help you out with a Kurdistan state, and they'll never, ever fucking deliver. This devil has lied to them so many times. Look at all the shit with Iraq, with Saddam Hussein. Yeah, we'll provide you support against Saddam Hussein. Then Saddam Hussein came in and wiped them out after the failed promises of George Bush. And it just goes on and on. You would think that they have learned their lesson. Nonetheless, though, Gomer and all his bands are now moving into Libya. Libya, all of them. Gomer and all his bands, just like the prophecy says. So what's really happening is they're trying to censor the alternative media. As you know, Syrian Arab News Agency channels, as well as many other pro-Syrian government channels, have been taken down, as well as Press TV. The only way you find it is if you actually go to the Press TV website. And, well, of course, they've been taking down our videos. Like I said, I just tried to click on the LA camp because they just put up a video. And sure enough, by the time I clicked it, they'd already taken that video down over so-called hate speech, which means to not like the propaganda that's going on, to speak against Esau and all his lies, right? To read from the Bible, things that are biblical. Anyhow, this then from Anti-Media. Syrian fighters transported to Libya escaped to Italy. So Italy is now an open door. Okay, I guess there's nothing more there, but nonetheless, so that's one of the articles. And this one in from Zero Hedge. Tripoli's only commercial airport targeted by 6 missiles after Berlin's ceasefire fails. Well, of course, because ceasefires are really a joke to begin with. So much for any progress or talk of ceasefire touted days ago at the Berlin conference when the world leaders gathered to try and broker Libya peace. Well, they don't want peace there, really, truly, though. Gomer wants to try to take over Libya via the Libyan National Army, which is really not the Libyan National Army, which is really just a name they put on there so you would support the terrorist groups. You see how Esau loves to trip you? Wednesday's Libya's headlines featured rocket attacks on Tripoli's only functioning international airport, forcing a temporary shutdown of the entire commercial hub. Authorities at Tripoli, Mitka, have said it's since reopened after being closed for an hour due to 6 military-grade Grad rockets being fired at the airport. A spokesman for the government of National Accord called the attack a flagrant threat, air traffic safety, and a new violation of the ceasefire. So, Gomer and all his bands wrecking havoc here. It ain't just Gomer and all his bands. It just, the reason why it says and all his bands, of course, because many proxies, but all still part of Esau Edom. The GNA statement further blamed the war criminal Haftar for the attack amid his Libyan National Army continuing the months-long offensive on the capital part of a broader 2-years-long campaign to take the entire country and its oil. So, of course, like everything else, though, we know that the Libyan National Army really ain't that, because you notice how that bird looks like Syria? Like the Syrian National... You see how this devil is? They try to make you think that, oh, okay, that's a legitimate government, because that's the eagle that looks like the one on Syria. But they're not. It has only been 9 days since Mika's airport reopening followed a truce with the LNA, Libyan National Army, which is the terrorist groups. Keep that in mind. Which clearly didn't hold in years past. Tripoli's international airport was the major international hub, but had in the years since the 2011 NATO war witnessed intense fighting in its vicinity, causing immense damage. Other than Mika, Tripoli residents are often forced to use the Misrata airport about 125 miles away. Turkey, which is Gomer, has also weighed in on the newest attack and apparent failure, the potentially international brokered ceasefire, which also had Russian and Turkish involvement. Warlord Haftar, who also posed a clear threat against the air traffic in the airport with these assault, has persistently disregarded the ceasefire call of the world. A top Turkish security official was quoted in Middle East Eye as saying, for its part, Haftar's LNA has alleged Tripoli's main aviation hub has become a legitimate military target given its hosted Turkish aircraft, including, according to pro-Haftar forces, drone activity. Yeah, they make it seem like Turkey's there for peace, right? But they're not. They're there for war. This is a total war. And it's a proxy war that's being fought on. So Libya is in the top news going around, as well as Persia, all of them. You see how that's speaking? And yes, Iraq is asking America to withdraw from their country, man. They're tired of this tyrant, which is Donald Trump, and America being in there. Because all they've done is steal from Iraq, just like everybody steals from Syria. They were not invited by the Iraqi army. No. Nor were they asked to fight ISIS. No. It has been Hezbollah, Iran, that's been helping them to fight ISIS, and that's why Trump took out the guy, because they want America to be the only so-called superhero, which America is the terrorist. Iraqi President Baham Salih and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump have exchanged viewpoints about a reduction in the number of American military terrorists in the war-ravaged Arab country, weeks after a parliamentary bill demanded the withdrawal of all U.S.-led foreign troops. We've had a good relationship, and we've been down to a very low number. We're down to 5,000. No, they have a lot more than that, because, of course, all those that are in Syria, you know, they just pretty much use Iraq as a hub to go back and forth to Syria to steal from Syria and Iraq, so they can control all the oil. So we're down to a very low number, historically low. Sounds like Trump's fucking mouth. And we'll see what happens, Trump told journalists. See what I'm saying? Following a meeting on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in the Swiss Alpine resort of Davos on Wednesday with the Iraqi leader. On January 5, Iraqi lawmakers unanimously approved a bill demanding the withdrawal of all foreign military forces led by the United Snakes from the country. You know, and you can see it right there. But you know that U.S. Never ever going to fully withdraw. But wait, there's more. Accepting fate, U.S. soldiers were left behind to advance as Iran missiles hit their base in Iraq. Yeah, pretty much though, yeah, you want to join the military, you're just a sitting duck, waiting to be destroyed. Because that's what World War III really is. The third world that cometh quickly. Horror struck with Iran's attack on their military base in Iraq, American terrorists recount how they lost contact with their state-of-the-art unarmed aerial vehicles in the sky as the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps targeted the site in retaliation for the assassination of the top commander, Lieutenant General Qasem Soleimani. The airbase was struck with a barrage of Iranian cruise missiles early on January 8 over the assassination of the commander of the IRGC's Quds Force in a U.S. airstrike in Baghdad, which was nothing but a terrorist attack, to take out their top leader. Because this is the one that actually did go after ISIS. The one that's been fighting the war on ISIS has been Iran, and has been Iraq, and has been Syria, with the help of Russia. Because we know that Lebanon, a.k.a. Hezbollah, have all been fighting the terrorists supported by the United States. And it's really just about a grab for the oil. And, of course, it's really for Amalek, who really is the one that's drawing everybody into this war. So, pretty much, though, you can see that very much so that it's coming out now that, there were casualties in this, and you knew that there would be, but they wanted to keep that quiet with all these false flag attacks and this gun grab in Vagina. And I guess in Vagina they now have checkpoints, so expect that to be all 50 states very soon, because, of course, the Army After Next, which is what Jade Helm really means, is coming to take the guns. They want everybody to have the guns taken away, so that way they can enforce martial law. And under martial law, that's where the mark of the beast will come in. And this is 2020, the year of prophecy. And you can see prophecy is very much speaking, because I just read you a whole bunch of them that are involved with this war. And we know that Magog is a guard unto them, so just read these verses. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth all thine army, horses and horsemen, which are talking about this bigger system, such as the S-400s, S-500s, you know, and of course, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. In other words, well, what is these S-400s and S-500 systems? Capable of handling swords, right? So you can see that all these countries, which includes India, by the way, but you can see, though, that Persia, aka Elam, very much so is a part of Persia. You know, because the Persian army once had that area. You know, so you can see, though, that all of them, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all of his bands had many people with thee. And you can see that. You can see that what's going to happen here is they are all buying into these systems, and they all want their piece of the pie. You see, Gomer wants to be the Ottoman Empire again. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah and north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. See, they want to rebuild the Ottoman Empire, aka Caliphate. You heard that word Caliphate during ISIS, because who really was leading ISIS at the time? Gomer and all his bands. Be thou prepared, prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, be thou a guard unto them. And that's what's happened now, you know. And, you know, a lot of them are coming to this. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into my mind, into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Yeah, and a lot of them are just, how can we rip them off? And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, which is talking about, well, what's this unwalled villages? What's that talking about? Well, duh. Again, you know, that America is very much involved with this, and, you know, those that weren't spoiled are now going to be spoiled. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them that dwelling without walls, neither having bars nor gates, you know, to take a spoil and to take a prey. So martial law is coming, and many people are going to be in for the taking, man. When the UN Army after next comes in, man, they're taking and they ain't giving, man. They are going to steal everything they fucking can, because they know who robbed them. They know that America robbed all the nations, so they're going to come and ravish your houses, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Talking about Babylon the Great. So, you know as well as I do that the UN Army after next is a foreign army led up of all these countries that have been destroyed by Babylon. So you see what's about to happen here. So the more they disarm and all that, the New World Order comes in, but you see, thou shalt think an evil thought and be like, I can rip these motherfuckers off, man. These people have been fucking living deliciously. No, man, I'm taking. And that's what they're going to think. They're going to think that evil thought. So I hope all this has been edifying like everything else. So just been using Spybot Search and Destroy to get this computer up and running. Sorry for the delay. Not making any excuses. Just getting this shit up and rolling again. For that, I want to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Most of all, the water to the Rakah Kadash for giving me the words to speak this prophecy, because prophecy is speaking, this being the year of prophecy. Shalom.